Hi everyone. Welcome to today's session on how to build a neobank in 90 days. My name is Yashwarya and I'm thrilled to have you with us. Today we have a special guest, Ankur, the COO and co-founder of Paynet Systems. Ankur is a fintech expert with over 17 plus years of experience in the fintech industry, banking, payments, and telecom technology sectors. Thank you for joining us, Ankur. Now over to you.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful session. How can I help you today?
Ankur, to kick things off, what are the essential prerequisites for someone looking to start a neobank?
That's not an easy question to start with, but uh, for the viewers, I would like to put a few very important things into perspective. First of all, somebody who's trying to start a neobank should have a very, very clear vision, right? Because there's a very thin line in between creating a lot of technology and what the customers want, right? A solid business plan is important because if you've created something and it's not making money, it's of no use to anyone and it won't survive long.
Definitely.
The most important part when you're working within the financial sector or services related to financial sector is the regulatory approvals. There could be licenses involved. There could be regulatory approvals involved in that particular. So first of all, you need to have a checklist and make sure what's applicable to your type of business that you want to do, and have that cleared first before before planning anything else. Because if you're not regulatory approved, tomorrow you might not be able to do anything, and all your investment might go up. Then, of course, selection of the right technology is very important. And when I say technology, and the technology,
Okay.
and both of them combined, along with the regulatory, is a very costly affair. Okay? So you also need to ensure that you have the right kind of pockets and the finances available in order to fund the entire journey. Because just making a product and making it live in the market would not make any sense. You'll also have to run it, try to save so many things that would enhance the overall cost. Right? And of course, cybersecurity. If you're giving something financial, your reputation is on stake and the customer trusts you. So in case, if, for example, if you don't have the cybersecurity in place, there might be hacks, there might be some sort of frauds, right? This would not go down well with your end customers. And of course, have a very clear vision of what your customers want. Don't have a vision of what you want to give to them. Of course, there is a problem that you're trying to solve, but at the end of the day, try to solve a problem customers really have. I think I would close the question there.
Okay. So, what do you think about the role of a team in this question when it comes to how to build a new bank? Assembling of a team. What kind of team do you think one requires to build a new bank in such a short time frame?
See, I'm not saying that it cannot be done, but building something like a neobank, right, really depends upon the type of use cases. There could be a single use case where you just want to do collections and calling it in. With there could be an entire case where you want to run an entire banking operation digitally, right? So it really depends on what do you want. So I would not comment basically on the 90 days time period. But yes, there are a few things which are very, very basic, and everybody should respect, have those questions really answered before you get into it. So a leadership team is very, very important. When I say leadership team, so who are the visionaries? Who will drive the project? Who will make critical decisions? Is it you? Is it some of the employees that you've hired? Are these your partners? or are these some consultants who are doing it for you? First of all, this leadership team needs to be very, very strong. The business case needs to be very strong. And last thing, and then the regulatory experts, because see, these businesses are totally dependent on regulation, where
Definitely.
regulation is the highest risk. Okay?
Yes.
Though everything is a risk, but regulator is the highest risk. If the regulations were to change tomorrow, your business can stop on the very day all your investments, right, can go wrong. So really have good regulatory experts who have been there in the industry for a very long time, who have very well connections within the regulatory domain. They have been working with banks, large organizations, or within the government itself, right? So that they can advise you on the regulatory. Then 90 days is a good question. So of course you're going to develop a product and give it to someone. So just having hands without knowledge, both on the design side of the technology, infrastructure side, cybersecurity side, right? The architecture side and the software side, very, very hard. You can pretty
Definitely.
much come with a toy in 90 days with people who don't have the right experience. And I'm talking about hands-on experience. I'm not talking about, of course, there are people who would be able to learn very fast. I don't deny that fact, but you need to really have the right hands-on uh, cybersecurity, compliance, technology, architecture, infrastructure, right? And of course, that's going to you need to invest a lot. Then,
So
of course, yeah, go ahead.
yes.
Think something?
So we can definitely say that team is going to be very big part when it comes to building a new bank
It's
in
very
that short.
crucial. Yeah, it's very crucial.
Yes.
You cannot just outsource your vision to somebody if you really
Yes.
want to develop fast. And you cannot say that, now I've got the money, I'll hire the team and I'll do the work, because the team that you're working with should be very, very aligned with the thought process of the organization, right? Where everybody in the organization should understand each other and a collective goal in what they're trying to achieve.
Definitely. Teamwork matters.
And then product managers. So nowadays, see, everybody wants a product that they can use. There was an
Yes.
era where, of course, things were just given digitally. But nowadays, the customers are choosing. We're living in the iPhone age, where not only people need a product, but they need a product in style, right?
Yes.
And it should be usable. So product managers are very, very important part of the entire deal, right? Who have already worked on certain delivering successful products, or have a very good acumen in terms of providing a right kind of technology, the right kind of mix of technology,
Yes.
interface, UX, UI. Of course, the marketing and sales team, because you also need to build awareness. Right? I have a shop, but nobody knows about it. Right?
Yes. So
And not
marketing is very important.
sales and marketing is very, very important.
Yes.
To have that team in place. And nowadays, because you're selling a digital product, so your users would be in the digital domain. I cannot go and target the customer on the street who is never digital or on the margin line of the digital or the gig economy. So at the end of the day, I need to have the right persona of my customer figured out, the products figured out to the persona of the customer, and then right kind of channels where I can find that customer and sell my product. So you need to have a right team who knows where to go and hunt down customers, where to go and increase the sales, because you whatever investments you do, whatever compliances you do, it's of no good if people are not, right? You're not getting the right kind of feedback, right? And then the finance team, which is actually a very important leg of the entire game, right?
Yes.
How would you get the money? How would you do the budgeting? Because it's very easy to lose or bleed money when you're planning something of this scale. And my perspective of answering your questions is that we're not doing an MVP in 90 days. It's something that we want to really into the market. And of course, as I
Yes.
said in the starting, that it might not be the case that you're doing a full bank, because if you're doing a full bank, a very different game. With the way you're doing 3, 4 use cases like the account onboarding, collection, disbursal, right? Which also comes under the umbrella of new bank. It's a very broad. Um, so I would just say that to follow these points, if you try and understand what I just said, you would be in a situation to take the
Okay. So I think moving on to our next question, I would say, what, according to your, in your view, should be the primary focus during the initial stages of building a new bank in 90 days? What do you think is the most important, or my focus should be particularly on?
But it was well answered in the last question, but still I would say, regulatory is very important. Choosing your technology is very important. Your team is very important. And moreover, having the right kind of budgeting and finance. So say, for example, if you're trying to run this, keep in mind that you will fail many times. You'll have
Yes.
to run it for 2 years, right? Have the right kind of budgets, the right kind of team who has the temperament to fight, and work in high pressure conditions, right? Work fast, right? Not get demoralized. And of course, the right kind of technology, because if your tech stack or technology, whatever you're choosing, I'm not getting into the flavors that people like, maybe start doing microservices. So there are pros and cons to everything. Right? So choose the right kind
Yes.
of technology which suits you for that period of time, or 1 to 2 years of your life. So,
Okay, so as the maxim goes by, to human is to err, there is no plan out in the world could that could be bulletproof completely, right? So what do you think are some common pitfalls to avoid during this process of building a new bank?
See, again, I would say regulatory. Right? Though it looks simple, it looks like a checklist onto your document or an Excel, right? But
Yes.
it's most important and the most time taking. I would not say difficult, but time taking, and takes in a
Yes.
lot of energy. You feel demoralized most of the times because there's so many cogs and wheels,
Yes.
involvement of government, involvement of a lot of finance, which is involved, because you might have to keep in a lot of money with the government in order to procure those licenses. It might take time, it might require a lot of documentation. You might not have the right kind of team to do it, so you might have to hire consultants. You might not get those consultants. If you get them, then sometimes you might hire the wrong people, right? So
Yes.
this is one of the key things. Of course, focus on your customer needs, because sometimes because you're a technology team, so you end up building the technology that you like, not what your customers want, right? So
Yes.
I would say start with a mock application, right? And act as a customer, that if you did not understand technology, or give it to somebody who would be your user, right? And ask them, right, if I gave you something like this, like a working model, just in terms of design, does it excite you? Right? Do a lot of customer interviews. Now, because the time is less, so you said 90 days, but I still would say it depends upon the use case that you're doing. Uh, Meticulous planning of the project is very
Mhm.
important. What would you do? Right? What is important vis-a-vis what's required, right? So you need to have that understanding. Apart from that, you need to ensure that whatever you've planned for, you only work on that, because ideas have no end.
Yes, definitely.
So once you see something, you give a feedback to a technical team, and different people perceive uh, your ideas, thoughts, and commandments very differently. Right? So you might think, okay, we might put it on backlog and maybe take it later, but the other guy might think, no, no, this is something that I was told to do, and he might stop anything else that was required. And then he puts this thing as a scope creep into the requirements,
Yes.
right? He won't be able to meet your time. Of course, testing is very important, because Now, I would believe that you develop the technology, but if you give a broken product to your customers, right, it is as good as uh, you know selling a bad product in the market, which people don't understand, right? So it's like I give you a iPhone without its backend. Yeah, I give you an iPhone. When you want an experience, if you just bought it, but the battery doesn't work, right? Those small things, apart from the cybersecurity part of it. So you don't want your customers to be taken granted for or cheated using your product because that's the reputation that you have, right? And if they get cheated, if the product is compromised, then nobody's going to.
Definitely. So I could see that you have laid quite an emphasis on choosing the right technology and choosing the right partners or consultants when you're coming up with a new bank. So can you elaborate on the decision-making process when it comes to choosing these right technologies and partners for the product?
See, the right assessment is very important. When I say assessment in terms of like what core banking system will you be using,
Yes.
right? What technology stack will you use? Because or you will build your own core banking system using some open source stack, right? Are are the developers available for that technology? How
Yes.
expensive are the developers for that technology? Will you be able to train your team? Because do you have expertise in that technology? A few technologies might look very modern, jazzy, but over a period of time they become expensive because there are
Definitely.
people not available. Training costs are very high, right? So you need to have an equilibrium because when you get into operations and production, you will be requiring a team which you can train fast, which can learn the technology fast, whether engineering is available and
Mhm.
other resources like required for that entire operations are available easily and at an affordable cost, right? So I
Yes.
might choose to build on a technology that is latest out of maybe Silicon Valley, but there are like only 10 people who know about it, right? So I would not
Yes.
like to choose certain technology.
Definitely.
Nowadays, see, most of the things are commodity. Right? So don't get into the trap of reinventing the wheel. Right? Whatever is available out of the box, maybe the initial cost is high, try to use it because you'll be able to validate your idea and get into the market fast. Then you can take, then you can try and understand that what is it that I can develop internally, what I can, where can I reduce the cost. Because you already got into the market, you've tested your idea, you know that how things work. Don't get into the trap of developing everything by yourself, maintaining everything by yourself, because you're a set of engineers or you have a development team. Because if you've got the kind of budgets, try to use commoditized products like cloud, managed services products, right? If
Yeah.
open source is available, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Use open source, right? It's well tested. It's been there in the market. That the community is supporting it. You're getting the right kind of updates, right? That you would not be able to do individually. And of course, give back to the community. Where, say, for example, if you're using it, if you think you can develop, you do that. And also keep the future scalability in mind. Like,
Definitely.
like I told,
Foresight is very important whenever it comes to development, after all.
scalability not in only in the terms of the technology, but the team as well.
Yes.
I work on a technology where only 10 people are available. I won't be able to. I work on some servers which are so expensive that I can only buy one. I won't be able to. Right? Can I use a lot of managed services? Can I use a lot of cloud? Right? So that is one thing. Market research is very, very important. Right? Interviewing your client, doing market research. Uh, if you don't even have a product, you don't even have an sit with your good design. Invest in hiring a really, really nice designers and nice design. Invest in creating nice working UX in where you can go and test the idea with your customer, right? Maybe float that idea cold onto so many social media sites and see what type of responses you're getting back. Of course, those should be relevant groups. It should not be a bunch of teenagers, hunting something else and they come across your business application, right? Because your market is very, very niche, right? Then, and of course, don't feel disheartened because if you're doing something new, there would be so many negative points that would come up. But try to uh, think, sit over them, try to create a list and see what is right about them, what you can incorporate, what you can put in the backlog, what you can put in the now due diligence. I would say in terms of potential partners is very important, right? Because
Yes,
new banking is something that is totally, as I told you, there's you need to use as many commodity products as possible, right? Or service
definitely.
providers as possible. So when you're working with partners, how flexible are those, right? Initially, you might not get the right kind of pricing that you're looking out for. But that's okay because when you scale, you can negotiate.
Mm,
But moreover, are these partners willing to help you in a technical manner? Do they have even the capability to?
def-
Is their product scalable? Is their product proven? Right? Are these the right kind of people or the pedigree of people you want to work with? Have they the right kind of pedigree in the market or not? It's very, very important while choosing your partner. And to start with, maybe to test something, you can pretty much go for sandboxes. But having long-term partners is very, very important to do.
mm,
And same with the type of team that you want to create. So you might team might not be technically very, very advanced, but they should be good human beings. They should be, understanding. They should be able to understand the situation. They should be ready to contribute. Right? They should be excited about their job. They should not be bunch of hawkers, pretty much. Or that would be a wrong word. I would say there might not be bunch of people who are trying to take advantage of you.
yes, definitely. They should know about the industry. They should know about what they are getting into.
Moreover, they should be excited. They should not be somebody who is posing to be excited. Because nowadays with Chat GPT and all these platforms available,
Yes,
you tend to learn so many things and try to pose while you're not that person, right?
yes,
Okay. So that is one thing. Then cost benefit analysis also is there, but initially I think if you're in an MVP or starting stage, try to use as many managed services as possible. Of course, there has to be a limit to it. Try to put budgets and limits to things. Don't You should not get into a situation where you get a $25,000 bill for your AWS account, the cloud account, right? So try to put quotas and budgets, all new platforms now. And security per se is very, very important because that's one thing that you invest in because that is where your reputation pretty much uh, is held. Okay.
so I think by far what we have come to realize is that there are a plethora of things that need to be done, a plethora of tasks. There are many other things that need to be covered and taken into consideration when building a neobank in 90 days. But what do you think are the key takeaways for entrepreneurs and banks from this entire discussion that we had?
See, having the right kind of vision and planning is very, very important. Regulatory, I would again say, and the most important risk for you. If you have the regulatory sorted out, you're very sure about the licenses and the intention of the government in that country. So stable have the past, regulatory compliances have been. Don't get into this. You'll end up burning money. Technology, start technology, very, very important because you are running. I cannot have an MBA grad running my technology, or I cannot have a non-experienced person running my technology. It has to
Sure.
be hands-on. Customer focus. You should be ready to listen to your customer, read the feedback they're giving on your app store,
Then,
and understand, try to analyze that data, put that into, push your team because once the team starts working on your vision, they completely leave what the customer is like, or they are what feedback the customers are giving. Of course, agile execution is very important. Right? You cannot
yes,
get into a waterfall model because if customers are facing problems or they need new features, you need to roll them out, fail, pass, and move on to the next one. That's very important. And of course, team building. So that's a continuous activity that will never, never stops. Right? Have the right kind of budgets. have the right kind of environment for part ways in a good manner, right? That's very, very good. So that, those people are always willing to come back in case they find out that, oh, the decision that they took was not right, you know. So have your doors open for them because people are the most important thing that you have in such organizations, right?
Definitely.
So that is it from my side.
Okay. So now that we have completely dealt with the technicalities of this webinar session that we have here. So what I would like to know that what inspired you on this idea of building a new bank in just 90 days? What was the inspiration behind this topic? I'd like to know that.
See, the inspiration usually is that as I before I get into that question, as I rightly
Yes.
said, it's a very difficult task, but it is something that can be done now because
Yes.
most of the supporting services are today managed or are a commodity, right? Like
Yes.
cloud. 10 years earlier or 15 years earlier, we had to set up a data center, we have to go there, or maybe, if resources was required, it was troublesome, we need to talk to people, increase the resources. Now everything is at your fingertips. It's something
Yes.
two clicks away if you want the right kind of budget in plan. Software, I would say there's a lot of open source available now, a lot of code available now, which you can use, reuse, and very, very instant. Uh, Kind of technology where it has grown with the use of some artificial intelligence and certain different tools, you can pretty much work really fast.
Definitely.
And the kind of exposure that you already have in terms of managing the projects, we know how to deliver and how to plan, right? So it's achievable with, of course, using a lot of commodity products. That, gives me an understanding that it's possible to do. Of course, there are different implementations in those cases, but if the need be and if there are requirements, of course, in 90 days, you can pretty much deliver what's required.
So I think it was wonderful to learn what inspired you to take up this, challenging topic of building a neobank in 90 days. And I would like to thank you, Ankur, for sharing your valuable insights and all your efforts. I'm sure our viewers have gained a lot of practical knowledge with whatever information that you have provided, and on this topic on building a neobank in just 90 days.
Yes,
And
Aishwarya. So thank you so much for conducting this session. My intent today is that the viewers, whosoever would watch this podcast, you know,
yes,
would have the right uh, kind of thought process after listening to what I said, because where I'm coming from is a lot of experience of deploying such products, of running and operating such products, as well as consulting with customers across the world in the last 17 years. Right? And of course, they can get back to us. We're always ready to help, available on, they can write back to me, write back to Paynet, they need some advice. But of course, if they adhere to certain key points, which of course I have not uh, dived too deep into, but if they keep these key points and try to think about it, maybe they'll not make few mistakes that they would have. And of course, if you have some suggestions, if you don't agree to few things, if you agree to that, yeah. Thank you so much.
well, I can definitely agree that your wisdom is reflected in the words and insights that you have shared with us today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found this session informative and valuable. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay informative with PayNet Systems. Thank you.